Good morning, I am Dr. Poonam Butra. Today we will take up linear programming problems. First we will do simplex maximization case with all constraints of the type less than equal to. In part 2 and 3 we will do minimization with constraints greater than equal to. For all of you, maximize z is equal to 10x1 plus 15x2 subject to 3x1 plus 3x2 less than equal to 36. 5x1 plus 2x2 less than equal to 50 and 2x1 plus 6x2 less than equal to 60. Non-negativity condition x1, x2 greater than equal to 0. Now this is the simplex method where with maximization where all constraints are of the type less than equal to. So the first step we do is that we convert inequalities into equalities by adding what we call as slack variables. Slack variables in economic interpretation is that it represents unused capacity. Okay, so we add the जितने भी equations होंगे, जितने भी constraints होंगे, उतने ही slack variables I'll be adding, one to each equation. So I add S1. So this side is less, this side is more. So by adding a slack variable here, I make the constraint an equality constraint. Other thing is maximize z. The slack variable by definition is unused capacity. So it means it is not adding anything to profit. That is why we will write maximize z equal to 10x1 plus 15x2 plus 0s1 plus 0s2 plus 0s3 subject to these three constraints, and then is my non-negativity condition which is x1, x2, s1, s2, s3 all greater than equal to 0. Once I have done this, my problem is to maximize profit. So I start with the point where there is zero profit. In other words, I assume that you make nothing. x1, both the decision variables x1, x2, we assume it to be equal to 0. When I put it equal to 0 here, what am I left with? I am left with S1 equal to 36, S2 equal to 50, S3 equal to 60. Okay, then I make my table. This side of the table is what I call as my basis. In the basis, I have the profit contribution Cj, I have the basic variable or my product mix, and I have the value of the basic variable or quantity. The three variables S1, S2, S3 will be my three basic variables in table number 1. My profit contribution of S1 is 0, S2 is 0, S3 is 0. Cj denotes profit contribution. Then the value of these basic variables is 36, 50, 60. Then I start writing the body of the table. In the body of the table, I have my two decision variables x1, x2, s1, s2, s3. On top of that, I write their profit contribution, Cj. For x1 it is 10, for x2 it is 15, for s1 0, s2 0, s3 0. Then I look at the equations and I write the values. For example, the first equation was 3x1 plus 3x2 plus s1. So under x1 I will write 3, under x2 I will write 3, s1 was 1, there was no s2, s3 in the equation, so I will write 0, 0. Similarly, I write down the second equation. This is part of the basis. 5, 2, 0, 1, 0. Then the third equation 2, 6, 0, 0, 1. One way of ensuring that you have copied these equations correctly is that in the first table, in a maximization case with all constraints of the type less than equal to, in the body you will have an identity matrix. Okay, it is always there in the first table. So after I have written down everything, what is this body telling me? It is telling me that to produce 1 unit of x1, I need 3 hours on machine A, 5 hours on machine B, and 2 hours on machine C. Okay, after that we find out ZJ. ZJ is the total profit contribution. So to find that, I multiply each element of the CJ column with the corresponding element in the columns. Okay, like 0 into 36 plus 0 into 50 plus 0 into 60 is 0. 0 into 3 plus 0 into 5 plus 0 into 2 is 0. So in the first table, since we are not making anything, x1 is equal to 0, x2 is equal to 0, we will find that in the first table the profit will always be Zj is equal to 0 for each element of the column. Next we find Cj minus Zj. Cj minus Zj represents the opportunity cost. That is Cj minus Zj's, I have put my Cj's on top, so 10 minus 0 is 10. 15 minus 0 is 15, 0 minus 0, 0 minus 0, 0 minus 0. Cj minus Zj tells me that if I start producing something, if I produce 1 unit of x2, my profit will increase by 15, and if I produce 1 unit of x1, my profit will increase by 10. So, in order to maximize profit, I will want to produce 1 unit of x2 because that is the largest positive value. The value that is against the variable which has the largest positive value in the Cj minus Zj row is our entering variable. So that is why we put a sign showing that this is going to enter. Simplex is a process of iterations. If some variable has to enter, other has to exit. So, when this variable enters, we have to find out which is the variable that is causing the constraint, or which is the machine which is causing or acting as the major constraint. To find that out, to find the departing variable, we find our ratios. This column, that is our entering variable, this column we call as a pivot column or key column. To find the ratio, we divide each corresponding element of the quantity with the corresponding element in the pivot column. That is quantity upon the coefficient of the key column. So, we have 36 divided by 3, which is 12. 50 divided by 2, which is 25. 60 divided by 6, which is 10. If Cj minus Zj, we look at the largest positive value for maximization with constraints less than equal to, then for the ratio, we look at the least positive value. Why? Because the constraint is the one which is causing us problems. See, when we are entering x2, what does this mean? That for machine 1 to produce 1 unit of x2, we need 3 hours on machine A. For making 1 unit of x2, we need 2 hours on machine B. While for making 1 unit of x2, we need 6 hours on machine 6. We need hours on all these machines, only then we can produce 1 unit of x2. Here, this is telling me that machine A is capable of making 12 units of x2. This is capable of making 25 units of x2, while this is capable of making only 10 units. So since machine C is acting as a constraint, this is the variable which will be driven out of the system. Okay, so S3 goes out and X2 will enter. The row which is going out, this row S3, you can mark it. This is what is my key row or my pivot row. Between the two, the pivot column and the pivot row, there will be one element which we call as a intersectional element. Okay, वो common होगा pivot column और pivot row के बीच में. Now after this we make our table 2. Two things to remember. In table 2, I will enter x2 only in the place where s3 was. I cannot change the order. I cannot do कि मैं पहले x2 लिख दूँ फिर s1 s2. No, let the order remain the same. So we make our table 2. Okay, the first this thing that I write in table 2 is x2. x2 का profit contribution is 15. This is 15. Then the old row of table 1, I divide each element by the intersectional element. For example, ये यहाँ है, 6 is my intersectional element. To get the new row 3 of table 2, where x2 is the entering variable, I will divide this entire row by the intersectional element 6. So if I divide it, what do I get? यहाँ तो 10 आया होगा, 60 by 6 is 10, 2 by 6 is 1 by 3, this is 1, 0, 0, 1 by 6. This is how I get my new row in table 2. And the row has to be at the same spot from where the variable has departed. Okay, then how do I write my other rows? For that, we have to do certain row operations. Okay, the thing to remember is that you will always have 1 in the table at that place where x2 and x2. यहाँ देखो, row में भी x2 है, column में भी x2 है. That is what is important. Now, how do we get to the next rows? What I do is, I write down the old row 1 of table 1. What was the old row 1 of table 1? 36, 3, 3, 1, 0, 0. Below that, I write down the new row 3 of table 2. The one that I have just made, जो मैंने अभी लिखी है. Which was 10, 1 by 3, 1, 0, 0, 1 by 6. The idea of row operations is that in under x2, I want 0. So, what do I do? यहाँ पर मेरा 1 है, यहाँ पर 3 है. So, I will multiply the entire equation by 3 and subtract. Let me repeat it. I have to make the new row 1 of table 2. It is always better that you make table on one side of the page and you have the row operations on the other side of the page. So what do? I write down the old row 1 of table 1. Uske niche I write down the new row 3 of table 2. My idea of doing row operations is that I want the x2 make the other entries. Like here, this is 1. I want to make row operations in such a way that either be 0 or either be 0. That is the idea behind making row operations. So, I want 0 here. So, यहाँ 3 है. I multiply the whole equation. That is every element in the equation by 3 and subtract. They are very simple calculations, but please be careful because you tend to make silly mistakes. So, I get 36 minus 30 is 6. 3 minus 3 is 3 minus 1 is 2. 3 minus 3 is 0. This is 1, 0 minus 1 by 2. I go back to my table 2 and I write down the first row. S1 profit contribution remains 0. 6, 2, 0, 1, 0 minus 1 by 2. Similarly, I have to make row operations on S2. What do? I write down the old row 2 of table 1. 50, 5, 2, 0, 1, 0. Below that, I write down the new row 3 of table 2. 10, 2, this was 1. 1 था ना? 1, this was 1 by 3, sorry. This was 1 by 3, 1, 0, 0, 1 by 6. Now, I have to make row operations in such a way that I want 0 over here. x2 column में I want all the entries to be 0. So I will multiply, यहाँ क्या है 2, I multiply by 2 and subtract. So everything I multiply by 2 and subtract. So I will get 10 minus 20 is 30, 5 minus 2 by 3 is 13 by 3, 2 minus 2 is 0, 0, 1,
minus 1
minus 1 by 3. This now I write in tables 2. S2, इसकी profit contribution is 0, 30, 13 by 3, 0, 0, 1, minus 1 by 3. As far as possible, try to solve the problem in fractions. अगर whole decimal नहीं है, don't make it 3.77 or 3.67. Just do it in decimals. It will cancel out eventually. Now the next step is again find ZJ. How do I find ZJ? Profit contribution into the corresponding value in each column. So 0 into 6 plus 0 into 30 plus 15 into 10 is 150. 0 into 2 plus 0 into 13 by 3 plus 15 into 1 by 3 is 5. Similarly, ये 0, 0, 1, this will be 15, 0, 0, 0 into minus half plus 0 into minus 1 by 3 plus 15 into 1 by 6. 15 into 1 by 6 will give me 5 by 2. Once I have done this, I look at Cj minus Zj. Cj minus Zj is, ये मेरा Cj है, 10 minus 5 is 5. 15 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0, 0 minus 0 is 0. And 0 minus 5 by 2 is minus 5 by 2. So, the largest positive value in the Cj minus Zj row is 5. This will be my entering variable because if I produce a unit of x1, my profitability will increase by 5. So corresponding to this becomes my pivot column. Now I have to find out which is the departing variable. For that I find out ratios. So it will be 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Then we have 30 divided by 13 by 3, which is 90 by 13. And we have 10 divided by 1 by 3, which is equal to 30. So my least positive value in the ratios is 3. So it means S1 will be my departing variable and this row becomes my pivot row or my key row. Between the pivot row and the key row, I have an intersectional element. Which is that? 2. क्योंकि ये मेरी pivot column है, ये मेरी pivot row है, so there is only one element which is common to both. That is 2. So 2 is my intersectional element. Now I make table 3. Okay? Table 3, the first step I do is I enter x1 in row 1. And how do I find my new row x1? By dividing each element of the old row 1 of table 2 by its intersectional element. Okay. Here it is. This is x1 is 1, 0. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 0 by 2 is 0. Half 0 minus 1 by 4. I have got my new row. Now, to get the other two rows, I have to make row operations. And how do I make those row operations? Okay, what will I do? I will write down old row S2 of table 2. Okay, old row S2 of table 2. What is the old row? Write down the old row S2 what? Thirty, 13 by 3, 0, 0, 1, minus 1 by 3. And we, below it, we write down the new row 1 of table 3. And we make row operations in such a way, यहाँ पर x1 is 0, we want the other two elements to be 0, 0. So you make the row operations and you will get S2 17, 0, 0, minus 13 by 6, 1, minus 3 by 4. Similarly, on old row 3 of table 2, write that down. Below that, write down the new row 1 of table 3 and make row operations in such a way that we have 0 in under x1. Okay, when you do this, you will get x2 ki profit contribution I know is 15. I will get here 9, 0, 1, minus 1 by 6, 0, 1 by 4. Once I have got these 3 rows, then I find my Zj. 10 into 3 is 30, plus 0 into 17 is 0, plus 15 into 9 is 165. My Zj comes out to be 165. Similarly, 10 into 1 plus 0 plus 0, 10. This is 15. This you will get as 5 by 2, 0, 5 by 4. Now I find my Cj minus Zj. 10 minus 10 is 0. 15 minus 15 is 0. 0 minus 5 by 2 is minus 5 by 2. 0, 0. 0 minus 5 by 4 is minus 5 by 4. Once you reach the stage where in the Cj minus Zj row, no entry is positive. All entries are either 0 or negative, then means we have reached our optimum solution. Okay, why? Because any variable you enter is going to reduce the profit. It is not going to increase the profit. So that means we have reached the optimum solution. Now from this table, we will read the optimum solution. x1 equal to 3. So we write down x1 is equal to 3. x2 is equal to 9. x2 is equal to 9. Zj is equal to 165. Zj is equal to 165. In other words, the quantity column or the value of the basic variable, whatever you write, that column in the last table gives us the values of our decision variables. That is x1, x2, x3 and so on. Okay, we have another one. S2 is equal to 17. What was S2? Unused capacity. Unused capacity of machine B, the second machine. That means that machine 2 has unused capacity of 17 hours. Machine A and machine C have been fully utilized. What we have is unused capacity of machine B, which is 17 hours. How much is the availability of vitamin A?
20.
Total vitamin availability
80.
80. How much is of vitamin B? 100. So I'm given the cost of F1 as 3, I'm given the cost of F2 as 4. So what do I minimize? X1,
X2.
X2. Now a food of this thing contains how much?
20.
20. Or
40.
Read the question. It says a unit of each food F1 and F2 cost rupee. अच्छा पहले 1 unit of food F1 contains 20 units of vitamin A and 30 units of vitamin B. So ये food F1 contains 20 units of vitamin A and 30 units of vitamin B. Where is the problem? Why are you saying यहाँ आएगा? What does 1 unit of food F2 contain? 60 units of vitamin A and 40 units of
vitamin B.
now, and this is what at most क्या लिखा है इसके लिए? ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू साइन होएगा, लेस देन इक्वल टू होएगा? Greater than equal to. So minimize z equal to 3x1 plus 4x2 subject to 20x1 plus 60x2 greater than equal to 80, 30x1 plus 40x2 greater than equal to 100, x1, x2 greater than equal to 0. Now, it will become minimize z equal to 3x1 plus 4x2 है subject to what is my equation? 20x1 20x1 plus 60x2 minus s1 plus a1 is equal to 80. When there is a greater than equal to constraint, I will subtract a surplus variable and I will add an artificial variable. Artificial variable is the computational device. We are using it and in the end, they should be out of the system. Second equation, 30x1 minus s2 plus a2 100. Now, s1 and s2 are my slack variable, are my surplus variables. They are not costing me anything. So their cost is 0. But the cost of the artificial variable is very, very high. M. We always take the cost of the artificial variable as M. It is very high because we are assuming it to be very high and we want it to be out of our system. By the end of the table, when we come to the last table, A1, A2 should not be there in the basis at all. Okay, so I will have plus 0s1 plus 0s2 plus ma1 plus ma2 subject to, and all the other variables are non-negative. x1, x2, s1, s2, a1, a2 all greater than equal to 0. Now the second point is that we assume that we do not produce x1 and x2. x1, x2 are 0, s1, s2 are 0. So if x1, x2, s1, s2 are all equal to 0, the only two variables left in the basis would be a1 which is 80 and a2 which is 100. This becomes the starting point of my table 1. Okay. Now this is my table 1. I write here table 1. This is for the profit contribution. This is the basic variable. This is the product mix or value of basic variable. This is what is my basis. And the rest is the body of the table. Here I will write down the value of Cj and here is the variable. Variable क्या है? x1, x2. इसकी is 3. This is 4. This is s1 which is 0. This is s2 which is 0. This is a1 0 m. This is M and then we have A2 which is M. Now in the basis I will have A1, I will have A2. This is profit contribution or cost. CJ value is MM. This is 80. This is 100. Here I will have what? 20 because you see from these equations 20x1 plus 60x2 minus s1 plus a1. Okay, so therefore we go on to 20, 60, s1 is minus 1, 0, 1, 0. Then I have
30, 40, 0, minus 1, 0, 1.
Next I find my ZJ. ZJ is m into 80 plus m into 100. So I have 180 m. Similarly 20 m plus 30 m. 50 m. Then I have 100 m. Minus m. M. After I find my ZJ, I find my CJ minus ZJ. CJ minus ZJ gives me the opportunity cost. So this would be 3 minus 50 m. 3 minus 50 m.
4 minus 0.
Now in a minimization case, in the CJ minus ZJ row, we always look at the largest negative value. Why? Because that variable will reduce my cost the most. Okay, so here if you get confused, just take m to be any arbitrary number, say 10 lakhs, and try to do the subtraction. Okay, it gets a bit confusing, but try to do it by thinking this is the value. Now, which is the larger value here?
3 minus 50 m.
4 minus 100 m. 50 into 10 lakhs कर दो और उसको minus करो और 100 into 10 lakhs कर दो.
3 minus 50 m.
Why 3 minus 50 m? The largest negative value. 4 minus 100 m. Because if you multiply, that's what I'm saying. If you get confused, let's say m is 10 lakh rupees. 100 into 10 कितना होगा? 1000. 4 minus 1000 और ये 50 into 10 कितना होगा? 500. 3 minus 500 कितना होगा? Which is the largest negative value? So this becomes my entering variable. Okay? This will now be my entering variable because I look at the largest negative value. Why? Because I am not producing anything right now. I have to produce some variable. So I will be producing or entering that variable will enter into the system which will reduce the cost the most. So this is the largest negative value. What is this called? This will be my pivot column. Next, I find the ratio.
80 upon 50.
80, I divide BI by the corresponding AIJ. So 80 divided by 60. Then I have 100 divided by, what is this equal
10 by 2, 5 by
2.5 or 5 by 2? Which is, the ratio remains the same, least negative. Because that is acting as the constraint. 4 by 3. So, this becomes my departing variable. So, this will be my departing variable. Which is my intersectional element here?
16.
Now I make table number 2. What is the old row 2 of table 1?
100, 30, 40, 0, minus 1, 0, 1.
And below this I have new row 1
Of table
of table 2. This is
4 by 3,
4 by 3,
1 by 3, 1, minus 1 by 60, 0, 1 by 60, 0.
Now I have to make row operations in such a way, this is my x2, I want this to be 0. So what is here? 40. So I'll multiply by 40 and I'll subtract. Multiply by 40 and subtract. Hundred minus 160 by 3. 220 or 140? 140 by 3.
50 by 3.
This is 50 by 3. The only thing you have to be very careful with your calculations. This is 0. This would be
2 by 3.
2 by 3. Minus minus become plus. So it becomes 2 by 3. This is
Minus 1.
minus 1.
2 by minus 2 by 3.
Minus 2 by 3. 1. This is my new row 2 of table 2. So I will write here, this was 140 by
3.
3.
50 by 3.
50 by 3.
0. 2 by 3. Minus 1. Minus 2 by 3. 1.
Clear? Now we find our ZJ. 4 into 4, 16 by 3 plus
140 by 3.
so 16 by 3 plus 140 by 3 m. This is the value of my ZJ. 4 by 3 plus
Plus 50 by 3 m.
plus 50 by 3 m. 4.
Minus 4
Minus
4
2.
by
Minus 4 by 60, which is minus 1 by 15. 0 और ये आ गया minus m. This will be 4 into 0 plus m into
मामस में
minus 1 by 15 में plus 2 by 3 m आएगा ना
2m by 3 तो आएगा
2 by
minus 1 1 by 15
Oh,
plus
sorry. Yes, plus 2 by 3 m. Okay. This also m into 2 by 3. Clear now? This is minus m.
Now 1 by 15 minus 2
This
by
will be 1 by 15
minus 2 by 3m and m.
I find my Cj minus Zj. What is my Cj minus Zj coming to be?
Three minus
3 minus 4 by, this is now what? 3 minus 4 by 3 plus 50 by 3 m. This is what it is basically. So 9 minus 4 हो गया?
5 by 3.
5 by 3 minus 50 by 3 m. So I will write here 5 by 3 minus 50 by 3 m. क्या है ये? This is 3 minus zj. Zj is 4 minus 3.
Ma'am, it
4
will
by
be
3.
plus 50 by 3m.
Why? Minus sign outside.
Okay.
That is why I have put it like this so that you don't make any silly mistakes. This is the most common silly mistake that you make. So it will be minus 50 by 3m. Then we have what?
0.
0. This would be 1 by 15 minus
2 by 3m.
2 by 3m. This would be
m.
m.
1 by minus 1 by 15
M minus 1 by 15
minus 1 by 15 plus 1 by m.
plus 5 by 3 m. 1 by 15 plus,
Plus 5 by 3m.
what are we doing? We are doing m minus 1 by 15 minus
Next
2 by
will be
3
zero.
m. So we will have ये m को कॉमन लोगे तो 3m आ गया ना 3m हाँ बाहर तो minus 1 by 15. And the next one is 0. Which is the largest negative value here?
5 by 3 minus 15 by 3m.
This is the largest negative value.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody agrees?
Yes, ma'am.
This will be my entering variable now. So this becomes my entering variable and corresponding to this is my pivot column. Now next I do is I find out the
Ratio.
ratio.
4 by 3.
4 by 3 divided by 1.
4.
क्यों?
3 divided by
4 by 3 divided by
1 by 4.
4. Is it clear? 4 by 3 divided by 1 by 3 would be equal to 4. Then I have 140 by 3 divided by 50
14 by 5.
14 by 5.
This would be 14 by 5. 14 by 5 is smaller than 4.
Yes, ma'am.
So this will be my departing variable. Now I make my table number 3. So I will write Cj, basic variable, value of the basic variable. Here I have my x1. This is my profit is 3 or my Cj contribution. x2 is 4. This is my s1 which is 0. s2 ki is 0. a1 is m. a2 is m. Here the variable was x2.
X1.
Here, where the variable departs, that row only we have to enter the new variable. So it is the second row, x1, what is the CJ contribution?
4, 3 and 4.
But इसका we know is 4. Okay. Now to find this new row, what do I do?
Divide by 50 by 3.
50 by 3 was my intersectional element there.
Yes.
This was my intersectional element.
Yes.
So I divide this old row by 50 by 3. What do I get here?
14 by 5.
14 by 5. This will
Ma'am,
be 1.
down. X1.
X1.
14 by 5.
1,
1.
0,
0.
1 by 25,
1 by
25,
minus
25.
3 by
50,
minus 3 by 50.
Minus
Minus 3 by 3 by 50.
minus 3 by 50.
minus 1 by 25,
Minus 1 by 25.
3 by 50.
3 by 50. Now I have to get my new row 1 of table 3. So I will take this old row 2 of table old row 1 of table 2. Okay? So let's take so I can write down here old row 1
Of table 2,
of table 2,
4 by 3,
4 by 3,
1 by 3,
1 by 3,
1, minus 1 by 60,
minus 1 by
60, 0, 1 by 60, 0. New row.
Now here I write
New row of
of
table
table
3.
3.
14 by 5, 1, 0, 1 by 25,
Now I need to make my row operations in such a way that I want this to be 0. Right? Because this is my x1 here.
So we'll
this
multiply
has to
by
be 0.
1 by 3.
So I multiply by 1 by 3 and subtract. ये subtraction का sign जरूर लिखो. Okay, what do I get here? Two
2
by
by
5.
5.
So this is 2 by 5. This is 0. 1. करो इसकी minus 1 by 60 minus 1 by 75. What do you get?
Minus 1 by 125.
Minus 1 by
125.
नहीं, minus 3 by 100. Minus 3 by 100. All of you do this. This would be minus 3 by 100. Then
Minus 51.
प्लस आएगा जो भी आएगा.
plus 1 by 15. Your 3 will cancel. Plus 1 by 15. इसका क्या आएगा?
मैम 50 है.
5.
मैम वो वहाँ पे
मैम वो
3 by 50 है, 15 नहीं है.
अच्छा, this is 50.
Yes ma'am.
Okay.
And it will be 3 by 100.
So why didn't you say that time?
3 by 100. And it will be minus 1 by 50. 3 by 100. It will be 1 by 50.
It This will become 1 by
50.
1 by 50. This
3
will
by
be
100.
3 by 100.
Minus 1 by
Minus
50.
100.
I put these values in my table number 3. So I'll have here what? 2 by 5. This is 0.
Yes.
Then
1.
1
Minus 3 by 100.
minus 3 by 100.
1 by 50.
1 by
50.
1 by 50.
3 by 100.
3 by 100.
Minus 1 by 50. Now
let's get our ZJ. क्या आ रहा है?
minus 12 by नहीं 4 to the 8 by 5 minus 42 by
माइनस कहाँ से आ गया?
no, no.
This is this into this plus this
Yeah,
into
yeah.
this.
10.
10.
10.
Yes.
4, 0, 3 minus 1 by 10.
Okay, this
10.
is 10. Then
3.
3.
4.
0.
4 into
Minus 12 by 100 plus. Yes, ma'am. 0.
0 आ गया. Minus 1 by 10. Is it minus 1 by 10? Others confirm. Okay, minus 1 by 10.
Then 0.
0.
1 by 10.
Now we find our CJ
CJ.
minus ZJ. What is the 3 minus 3 is?
0. 0.
4
0.
minus 4 is?
0. 0.
0 minus 0 is?
1 by
0
10.
minus minus 1 by 10 becomes?
1 by 10.
1 by 10.
M. M by 10. Minus. M minus.
Is there any negative value in the CJ minus ZJ row? No. All of them are positive. When all values in the CJ minus ZJ row in a minimization case are positive, that means we have reached our optimum table. Now from this table, we have to read out the solution. So what will be my solution?
X2.
X1 equal to how much?
14 by 5.
by 5. X2 equal to
2 by 5.
2 by 5. And the least cost would be
10.
10.
ZJ is 10.